Welcome everybody to another video with one of the portfolio companies within the Pires investment portfolio. And I'm pleased to say that I'm here today with Dave Whelan, who's the CEO of VRE, and Barry Downs, who is the managing partner at Shore Valley Ventures. So Dave, tell us a bit about VRE.
Yeah, so I am the CEO of VR Education Holdings. We are an Irish-based company, hence the very strong Irish accents that you can hear right now. And we've been trading since 2014. Now, what our company does is there's two elements to the company. We build showcase experiences, or we have in the past, and these are standalone products, edutainment products that we sell on a variety of different platforms. So we're very well known for our Apollo 11 experience, which is a global bestseller. We've sold over 200,000 copies of that particular title across many different platforms. We sell it on PlayStation, we sell it on Oculus Rift, we sell it on the Steam store. We're also the team behind Titanic VR, and these are very detailed simulations. So for Apollo 11, you become Neil Armstrong, you get to go to the moon, you get to plant the flag. Everything is extremely accurate, and we use original source material. So when you're looking out of the window of the spacecraft, it's the real moon surface you're looking at, because we use the photo mosaic that NASA created for the simulator. So that's how detailed that we get in our simulations. But really what the core of the company is, it's the Engage platform. And what Engage allows you to do is any educator or corporate trainer or event planner can hold meetings, classes, or events inside virtual reality. And anything that you can do in the real world, you can also do in virtual reality. And it's a very immersive experience. So as an example, in education, if you're a teacher in China and you want to teach students from all over the world, there's a virtual version of you inside a virtual classroom, and you can interact in a very natural way. So if you want to draw on the whiteboard, you physically go over and draw on a virtual whiteboard. If you want to do a presentation, you can also do that. But because it is virtual reality, why even have class in a classroom? So if you're teaching marine biology, why not teach that on the seabed and have a whale swim through the center of the class? And it allows you to create and share content as well. And really, over the past few months, we've seen an explosion in use of the Engage platform because of COVID-19. So many schools and universities are closed down. So many businesses are also closed, and everybody is working remotely. And there's huge challenges with using video-based platforms like Zoom and Skype for business. And we're fine here at the moment because there's only 3 or 4 of us actually interacting on this Zoom call, and we're recording a video. But if you have 6 or 7 or 8 people on a Zoom call and you're trying to collaborate, it gets very busy very quickly. Everybody overtalks each other very, very quickly. And quite often you'll hear is, oh, sorry, you go first, or sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. That does not happen inside our Engage platform. It's really a communications tool, and we have some very unique features that you can't get in video-based platforms. So one of those, especially for events, is spatial audio, where if you're in a large group of people inside the Engage platform with 50 people and you want to ask the presenter a question, you simply raise your hand like you would in the real world and ask a question. And the presenter can turn around and face you and you get eye contact. We also have spatial audio. So if you want to lean over to the person next to you and whisper in their ear without disturbing anybody else, you can do that. And again, that's something that you just cannot do on a video-based platform. So if I go to the next slide, these are some of the people that we're dealing with. So again, we were established in 2014. We were an original launch title with Apollo 11 on the original Oculus Rift a good few years ago. As I said, we sold over 200,000 copies. We've won multiple awards. We've won a Time Warner Award for our work. We've also won many awards working with the BBC on a Berlin Blitz experience, where you go over on a bombing raid of Berlin back in 1943 using original audio. We have many partners and clients, and some of those are Oxford University, who have content on the Engage platform. We've worked very closely with HTC, which I'll talk about in a moment. We've also worked with Facebook in the past, again, porting content onto their platform, worked with the BBC, and people who are using the Engage platform include the United States Air Force Academy, where they have people dotted all over the country. They all need an education, and they're using Engage to really immerse their students. And we have the founder of Pixar on our advisory board, Lauren Carpenter. We have 42 staff in mainly in Ireland, but we have business developers in the UK, in the US. We also have lots of business partners in the UAE and Korea. Korea actually is an expanding market. They were hit very hard with the coronavirus and were closed down a lot sooner than Europe here. So they've been using the Engage platform, and we've released software on many different platforms. We released software on PlayStation, as I said, Steam, Oculus PC. We also have experiences available on the Oculus Quest and many standalone devices. So a lot of people ask, so VR, is it a gimmick? Why is it going to work now? I remember in the 90s when VR was going to be the next big thing and it fizzled out. There was 3D TV that was supposed to be the next big thing 6-7 years ago. That fizzled out. Why, or what makes VR special? Now, there's been a few different elements where that's happened over the past few months, which really will propel this technology forward, or immersive technology in general forward. So right now, VR and AR headsets are standalone devices. Up to about 12 months ago, to have a good VR experience, you would have needed a PC or a very powerful laptop and connected a lot of cables to it and put on a VR headset to get any type of good experience. All of that is gone now, where you can have a simple VR headset like an Oculus Quest or a Vive Focus, take it out of your bag, put it on your head and get a good VR experience. Not only that, these headsets now are less than the price of an iPad. So an Oculus Quest at retail is $400. The Vive Focus is a little bit more. So really what's happened, especially over the last 6 months, is people have been locked at home. They're looking for an escape, a way to communicate with other people, to feel like they're out in the real world. They're buying up these VR headsets, and it's very hard to get any of these, especially at retail. Facebook and HTC are making these headsets and they're selling out as quick as they can make them. Very hard and very difficult to get any of them. Also as well, what's happened over the past few months is there's many telecommunication companies around the world that are really pushing 5G. They spent billions of dollars on getting the licenses for 5G rollout. And what they're finding is that it's a very hard upsell to sell their current 4G customers to 5G. Customers are very happy with their streaming services. They're very happy with answering their emails on a 4G account. They don't need 5G. Having a gigabit internet connection on your phone, really no need. However, having a 5G connection to an immersive device like a VR device or an AR device makes a massive difference in a few different ways. So number one, you can stream in 360 media, very high quality 360 media from the likes of YouTube. These can be 16K videos that are streamed in, so they look crystal clear having a 5G connection. Not only that, these headsets at the moment are quite bulky. So if you look at the Oculus Quest, it is very front heavy. All the components are inside. In the future, you will be able to render all the graphics off the device itself. So your new VR glasses or your new AR glasses, they will look more like glasses. They'll be very slim and fitting. They'll just be two displays, and they'll be very, very comfortable to wear for long periods. And because you're rendering the graphics off the headsets themselves, you can do a lot more detail and a lot prettier. You're not reliant on a very powerful $5,000 PC sitting next to you in your room. You can actually have that render farm offsite. Also as well, what's happened, especially over the last 6 months, the COVID-19 effect, where because everybody is locked at home, they're looking for better communications tools, especially large corporations that have teams working all over the world, and they need to be in doing, say, daily stand-ups, and they need to be doing PowerPoint presentations, they need to do Kanban boards. That's very difficult to do on Zoom. And even my own company, the 40 staff that we have in Ireland, we've been working remotely over the past 2 months, and it really hasn't affected us at all. All our daily stand-ups are inside the Engage platform. We have persistent rooms where we can go in and put sticky notes up on it, and if somebody comes into a meeting late, they can go in and move those around, and we can also look at the 3D models inside. So we really have a full virtual office using the platform that we've built over the past 5 years. And here you can see a graph. Even before COVID-19 was a big issue for the world, in 2019, you can actually see the inflection point where software sales have absolutely exploded. This again is because of the standalone devices, the Oculus Quest, the Vive Focus, Pico are coming out with a device as well. Actually, Deutsche Telekom, who are one of our partners, we're working with Deutsche Telekom. They have their own device coming out where Engage will be available later this year. But even before the coronavirus, you can see that huge ramp up in sales. So VR and AR is here to stay. It no longer is a gimmick. Very recently, actually, what's happened is with the coronavirus as well, and this was a bit of a surprise to us, there's been so many events around the world cancelled. So Mobile World Congress was one of the bigger events that was cancelled very early on. But there's been over 800 major events around the world that have been cancelled. And these events will typically have a couple of thousand people, maybe 10,000 people for some of the bigger ones attending the event, going to exhibits. And all of those have had to be cancelled. And that's a huge amount of business out there in the world. And a lot of these events have moved virtual. And when they say virtual, what they're talking about is large Zoom conferences where they're just serving video of keynote talks. But really, the limitation with these virtual events is that when you go to an event, a physical event, 80% of the work is actually those conversations that you have in the hallway where you meet someone off chance, you have a conversation, and it could be the CTO of a company, and then maybe a follow-up a few weeks later and you start doing business. That's really the power of events. It's not just going watching the keynote talks. And really on video-based platforms, again, like Zoom and Skype for Business and areas like that, you can't have those hallway conversations. However, in a fully virtual event in virtual reality, you can because of spatial audio. You can sit down, you can whisper to the person next to you, you can get up out of your seat, you can walk to a different area, you can go to a breakout room. These are all things possible on the Engage platform. And inside one of these events, there was an educators event happening. It was in February of this year. And one of the speakers at the event was the president of HTC China, a guy called Alvin Graylan. Really, really nice guy. I met him inside, had a conversation with him. A few weeks later, he contacted me and said, look, we actually have a physical event that was supposed to be held in March in China. It's our annual Vive Developer Conference. They normally invite 3,000 developers to this conference, and they would talk about, here's the new hardware that HTC are building, here's the software that we're running, and they would talk about their roadmap over the next few years. That had to be cancelled, and they asked, could we hold this inside in the Engage platform? And we said, yes, of course, we'd love to help. And when we held the event, it was all remote, and we had over 5 hours of talks inside the event. We had 1,000 concurrent users, all in VR, all inside the Engage platform. 25% of those users were actually in China. So we got past the great Chinese firewall where the people in China were talking and interacting very naturally with people from all over the world. And lots of the speakers were actually based in China. We had 1.1 million people watching the live stream, the majority of which were in China as well. And there was absolutely no travel costs. It was very, very immersive. It was a really cool experience. We had virtual jets fly in. We had the president of HTC, Cher herself, the chairwoman of HTC, Cher. She gave the keynote speech. We had people from NVIDIA talking. We had people from Qualcomm talking as well. We had people from China Mobile talking. It was a really, really high-profile event. And ever since then, it really has put us on the events map for people. And we've been inundated with requests to hold similar events. So really, that's what we've been doing over the coronavirus. And this is a short video of the event itself.
Dear guests, partners, developers, and friends of the media from all over the world, welcome to the Virtual Vive Ecosystem Conference 2020.
The vision of HTC to enter the VR industry is to build a platform of humanities, technology, and dreams to help people unleash human imagination. In the face of this pandemic, the Chinese people have demonstrated extraordinary perseverance and determination.
But what if you could see them in a different way? What if they come out in a 3D way that really lets you understand and appreciate them? But don't worry, guys, these viruses aren't going to hurt you because we prepared. All of you guys have been now issued special protective gear. what's possible today with VR.
Hello everybody. Wherever you are around the globe, I would like to thank you for being with us today. All HTC team members hope that you and your relatives are in good health, and we encourage all of you to take care of them. That's why we have decided to make this V2EC event a conference VR.
Through information bits. And here we see a person, an avatar that represents a real person, dipping her finger into a virtual stream. And we can be there and do the same thing too, and interact with that person. As a matter of fact, today, that's what we're doing. We're all in this world together. It is full immersive virtuality.
Hi, my name is Charlie Fink. I cover XR for Forbes, and I've written several books on the topic. I'm joined here by several colleagues who you'll meet in a second to talk about the effects of the pandemic and how it has impacted our businesses, or I should say our business.
Hi everybody, it's a pleasure to be here at the Vive Ecosystem Conference, and a personal thank you to my dear friend Alvin for the invitation and for the work that he and HTC are doing to reinvent education. I named this talk, "The Future is Faster."
So really, that's just a quick overview of what we've been doing over the past 6 months. My contact details, or the company contact details, are on the screen right now, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Dave, thank you very much for that. That's just amazing. And I understand as well that you're recruiting at the moment. The company's growing fairly rapidly and you're hiring. Can you tell us a bit about the types of jobs you're recruiting for?
Yeah, so we're looking for business developers. We're also looking for customer success managers as well, project managers. We're looking for Unity developers, and we're also looking for web developers. As I said, look, we have a staff of, I think it's 42 headcount at the moment, and we have 10 open positions right now, and that's actually probably going to grow over the coming months. We're just seeing huge demands for this kind of service, and the term really has been said to us, like perfect storm, and I don't like to use that. Really, with the elements where the headsets are inexpensive, the need for something like this at the moment, because even when the coronavirus really subsides and the lockdown for many people is over, if you want to travel, say if I want to travel to London today for a meeting and then come back to Ireland, I have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. Really, that's going to stop a lot of travel. And having a virtual meeting where you're sitting down, you can make eye contact, you can shake someone's hand inside virtual reality. These are the types of experiences that people are looking for today.
And Dave, there was, I don't know if you ever saw this, there was a book and a movie called Ready Player One, which had this vision of everybody learning in VR. This is, your Engage platform is kind of like this metaverse where people can come to communicate and talk to each other and feel like they're really there, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the core of the business. And I remember some years ago, people, when I was delivering pitches in America and explain about the platform, and then everybody was going, hey, that sounds very much like Ready Player One. And then I read the book on a plane journey on the way over. So anytime I meet someone, or up to very recently, I used to say, hey, we've built the education system from Ready Player One. And really, the core idea behind the platform was that we wanted to tackle online education. Very few people finish online courses. It's less than 1 in 5 people. They're just not engaged with the content. They were watching video. It was very impersonal. They didn't feel like they were part of a real class. So we built, again, just a virtual classroom where they can meet real people and interact in a very natural way. And what we were trying to achieve is we're trying to turn educators into rock stars. And I can see a future where if you want to do physics in MIT in the morning and then English literature in Oxford University in the afternoon, you can do that from the comfort of your own home at a fraction of the cost. And especially with the cost of education in America, it's very expensive, and really it prices out middle income and lower income families from providing a good third level education to their students. And even the education system there today is based on how much tax is collected in the area, and that is allocated then to the schools. So if you live in a poor area, you're not going to get as much as a good education as somebody who lives in a very high-end area. And really, I believe that there are people alive today just as brainy as Einstein, who've never had the opportunity, and they're flipping burgers in Burger King because they never had access to great education. And that's something that we can provide through Engage, and not just in education, but giving remote workers an outlay where they can connect with their peers around the world, and also providing services to event management companies.
Wow, that's fantastic. And tell me, the HTC video is very impressive. Where are you seeing? I mean, I understand that you're kind of overrun with demand at the moment. Where is most of that demand coming from? Is it coming from education, or is it coming from running of physical events, or other areas, or is it all of the above?
It's actually coming from enterprise at the moment. So a lot of these places are coming out of lockdown, but to come out of lockdown, they have to have a 2-meter social distance between everybody in the office. Now, most of these offices are open plan, where the employees are very cramped together. And what they're looking at is a rollout where, okay, half the employees might be able to get into the office, but the other half have to work at home. But they still need to collaborate. They still need to do their meetings. So a lot of enterprise clients are coming to us going, okay, we need these tools that can work on various different platforms to connect our workers seamlessly. The education market, yes, it is growing, but what's happened is, because all the schools and universities are closed, all the decision makers, they're not really doing any work at the moment. I know some of them have been teaching online and are finding challenges. So I believe in September, when most of these universities and schools open up, they are going to put plans in place where, okay, if this happens again, because there's going to be outbreaks of this, I believe, for the next 12 months or even 2 years until a vaccine's been found, what's our plan to move online? And I think the education space will really heat up come September. But really the biggest draw for us right now is virtual events. Again, some of these major events that I've talked about, all these places are looking for alternatives. They've seen what happened with some of the early events on Zoom, and they know that this is not the experience that they can charge $100, $200, or even $1,000 in some cases. They need something that's more immersive and more personal.
Yeah, and there's nothing, I totally agree with you. There's nothing more immersive or personal or even emotional than being in virtual reality. And that takes me to your very first product, which was the Apollo 11 journey to the moon, Apollo 11 VR. Wow, when I first went into that, and I always remember Neil Armstrong coming down the ladder to take that first step on the moon, I felt like I was time traveling back to 1969. Can you, just for people who may be much more familiar with Engage, but who may not be as familiar with the amazing product that Apollo is, can you tell us just a little bit about Apollo and the impact it's had as a product?
Yeah, so actually quite often we get people that experience Apollo 11 and they come out all teary-eyed. It is a quite emotional piece. So when I was younger, my dream was to become an astronaut, and the very first product I wanted to build obviously was Apollo 11, and we really built it with emotion in mind. So with education or with anything, you only remember the experiences that actually have an emotional impact on you, and education should have an emotional impact on you as well. So it's like when you watch movies, you only remember the movies that make you laugh or make you cry or actually have any type of impact. And that's exactly what we need to bring to education as well, so that students are engaged with the content. And Apollo 11, it was, I designed it kind of like a musical journey as well. So we've heightened it with lots of really epic scores, kind of like the Apollo 13 movie. You are Neil Armstrong. You get to see the Earth from space. You get to see the moon. You get to sit in the spacecraft as well. You really get a sense of what it was like back in 1969. And it was been a hugely successful experience for us. And actually, it was one of the top selling pieces of content on the original Oculus Rift when it came out, because what happened is so many tech people bought the headsets and PC enthusiasts, because it was quite expensive back then. And the first thing that a lot of people who were new to VR or had a new VR headset wanted to do was to show it off to their friends or their family, to show how amazing this technology is. And there was lots of video games and there was not very much content that people could share. But one of the pieces of content that was shared very, very widely was Apollo 11, where they could put their grandparents into Apollo 11 and that they could do a version of it that was not very interactive. And their grandparents remembered actually sitting with their own parents back in 1969 and about the moon landing, and they actually felt like they were there. So that's why it became hugely popular, hugely successful. And then we followed that on then with Titanic, where you can witness the sinking from the point of view of a survivor on Lifeboat 6. And again, it's a very emotional experience where you can see families being ripped apart and you're sitting on the boat and you can see the boat go down. But then you also get to dive on the shipwreck. And as you dive on the shipwreck and explore the shipwreck, you can hear the stories from the actual survivors themselves, because we got a lot of the audio from BBC, who we work with very closely. And as you enter some of these cabins, BBC would have interviewed those survivors many years ago, and you can hear those survivor stories coming straight from the survivors themselves as you enter these areas, and it's quite eerie, but it certainly has an impact.
Wow. Fantastic, fantastic, Dave. So listen, it's great to see the company growing in the way that it is, and you hiring and scaling up. So if anybody's interested in a job, or somebody who wants to use Engage for a corporate or for education or training, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, so they can reach on the website, vreducationholdings.com. We have some of our vacancies listed on that website, and the Engage platform details are on engagevr.io. And then if you want to stay up with the latest news, you can reach us at Twitter. So Twitter is just @VREducation.
Brilliant, Dave. Thanks very much. I'll hand you back to Nick.
Yeah, well, Dave, thank you for that fascinating insight to VR education. So thanks for explaining all that to us, and look forward to hearing from you in the not too distant future.
No problem. Thanks guys. Stay safe.
Thanks, Dave.